Hello and welcome to our video game character versus tournament, within which we will be pitting some tough and beloved video game characters against each other with an added modifier of placing them in a random foreign video game world and discussing not only which of the two characters is the toughest, but also which character would be the most useful in said world as your wingman or woman. So, this series will play out as so. We'll be going over the pros and cons of each character in a podcast-style format and vote between the three of us on who we think would win out in said scenario. I'm sure there'll be occasions where you'll disagree with our choices. If so, feel free to put your case across in the comments for discussion. All I ask is for people to be respectful and not be a dick about it. Anywho, that's enough housekeeping. Without any further ado, let's do it to it. Okay, so it's time for the grand finale. All the other characters have been knocked out, some pretty tough ones, and some of the decisions made I'm a little dubious about, but nevertheless we've come to our finale. And our finale is Dante from Devil May Cry versus Yuna of Final Fantasy X and 10 Part 2 or X2, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so who wants to pick the world? Any volunteers?
I'll go if you want, if he's not wanting to do it.
Okay, pick a number from 1 to 16.
9.
9 is the Onimusha world. So the world of Onimusha.
Round 3.
So, Dante versus Yuna. Let's talk about them in a versus sense first, and then we'll talk about them in a useful sense.
Fight!
Okay, so Dante, they've got some interesting differences. I mean,
I'd say there's more interesting similarities.
I think you're probably right in some degrees, yeah.
Even Yuna's weapons in X2 are very similar to Dante's main weapons.
That
They're
is
both
true.
gunners.
Maybe in the end they'd end up being a better team, but that's not what this one's about.
They wouldn't fight. After the fight, they'd make friends.
They wouldn't. There's not a reason for a lot of the people pitted against each other to fight per se. Some of them definitely you could make arguments for them to have a fight. But yeah, so yeah, they have many similarities. They're both good. They're both fight in a similar fashion in terms of their actual fighting. I think what differs is though Yuna is her actual character is kind of weak. Even if you factor in the RPG element, which buffs her and makes her stronger, she's quite weak and she's thoroughly dependent on her Aeon, whereas or summon, whatever game you
It does depend. In X2 she has loads of like warrior abilities.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think of her still as
you don't.
Tank
Her nature itself is more like a kind of mage, really, isn't she?
Healer, you know, maybe status elements, a bit of attack, not really, depending on the game. You know.
But the Aeons are what you should consider, I suppose.
Whereas Dante doesn't really have anything to call upon apart from himself. However, with that said, he's near immortal. He's killed the king of the demons. So in terms of fighting giant beasts, I wouldn't say that would be something, even an Aeon, that would worry him, because that's kind of all the bosses from Devil May Cry are kind of giant Aeon-like beasts. So I wouldn't say that would necessarily worry him a whole lot. But yeah, so
I would have to say that the bosses in Devil May Cry, in comparison to an Aeon, I don't think they're
I know, I wouldn't say they're quite on par. But they're a poor man's Aeon. And if throughout the whole thing, you'd have to think the end bosses though are at least equivalent to any of the Aeons. Like his dad, the fucking, you know, god of the underworld or whatever, god of the demon kings, he's got to be on par with any Aeon, really. You know, so it's not like it's a ballpark that would fluster him. Do you know what I mean? To have to duel against someone like that. I think the thing that he would struggle with the most is killing someone like Yuna. But with the same respect, Yuna would never kill Dante either, because although she'd probably think he's a douche, we're talking about.
He'd try and come on to her, and she's really shy. She'd have to be taught flowers, chocolates, you know.
Exactly. She probably needs a bit more of a softer
for
fella.
her tastes.
Yeah. But yeah, you got any thoughts on them, Vanessa? Strengths, weaknesses?
I think it's really tricky. You know, I mean, you obviously like earlier made the comparison of like, you know, light and dark and that kind of stuff, and I'd love to say that, you know, I'd love to say that light would prevail. However, I think probably Dante, if it ever came to a scenario where they had to kill, you know, it was either like, you know, kill or be killed, and one of them had to die.
Yeah.
I think maybe Dante would be the one that would, as much as he would want to,
Yuna would flinch Yuna would flinch and take a second thought, whereas Dante would act and then take a second thought after acting, because he does before he thinks.
Yeah. I think she'd also be one for like self-sacrifice, like I'll go. Do you know what I mean? Like if it was her or him that had to jump off a bridge or a cliff or whatever.
It would depend on what the cause was, what she was fighting for. If she believed in what she was fighting for, I'm sure she'd stick it out. But I don't. Yeah. It'd be hard to see how that they would be on opposite sides of anything really. So.
I reckon Dante.
But with that said, let's put the modifier in the dynamic of the world. I think this definitely counts against Yuna here is Onimusha, because the bad guys are demon realm. You know, it's all about the demon realm, and that's
Samanosuke
bread and
and
butter.
Jubei, they're like half demons.
Yeah.
Albeit Japanese Oni.
Yeah, they're the special. They're a different breed of demon, aren't they, from the other demons?
And Onimusha is essentially almost the same as Dante.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a very similar sort of thing. I mean, if you think about I forget what the guy's called, but the one from, is it the third, or might be the fourth Onimusha, where he's the god of the Onimushas or something weird, or like the embodiment of the god of the Onimusha.
Demon.
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
He fights an actual god at the end of that boss, because I thought that I beat that game or whatever.
I forget his name.
Yeah, I forget his name as well. There's nothing. He wasn't a bad character, but he's no Samanosuke. You know, even Jubei was.
I like Samanosuke the best.
Memorable. So I like Samanosuke the best, but I think Onimusha 2 is the best game. Just saying.
I agree.
Although we got off track a little bit.
We've also got Jean Reno.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
That was a weird one, but
that was a weird choice, wasn't it? That's a odd little thing, but yeah, never mind. But yeah, I think, I mean, Onimusha world, you could swap that out for Dante's world, and he probably wouldn't blink.
They are awfully similar.
The only difference is that the time period, so that would probably be the only thing that would throw it. You know, because I think, although it isn't in that John Reno one that is Onimusha 3, they do go into the present, don't they? Yeah, so maybe it wouldn't have to be the time thing would throw him off. So yeah, so I think the modifier in this one, I think is just shows how much throughout this the modifiers have really affected a lot of the decisions in who. Because if it was a straight up versus and you didn't bring in the world. You know, like in like a beat 'em up. You pick your map like your Smash Brothers and your Tekken, whereas that world may or may not have things that affect the players' characters. They definitely do in this one. So it's amazing how, because if we'd put Yuna in say a different world that was a little bit more, calm or kind towards her, like another RPG world, then that would count against Dante. So it's interesting how that plays out. So. But yeah, I don't really know much more to say. I think Dante for me is the winner, but then I would say that because he's the character I picked. So I think I'll have to throw it out to you. I mean, this is the finale, so the stakes are high. So I'm going to go with Dante because I just don't see how in an Onimusha world, even though the Aeons are super powerful. I think if it was anyone else, they'd probably be screwed, but like Dante's perfect in that world and for fighting giant monsters. They're like, the only person that could maybe be equal on him with that level is someone like Kratos, and Kratos is a stupid angry ball bag as a character. So, not saying anything against the games, but as a character, he's a sweaty ball bag. Just saying. So.
I don't mind. I think she's a valiant runner-up.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm honest, I'm surprised she got this far. I mean, I didn't really think of how powerful and useful the Aeons and the summons are. Obviously, I knew they were powerful, but like how they would compete against others. So I think she, you know, if she doesn't win this, she did a good run in anyway. She did.
I think it's kind of like a no-brainer. Unfortunately, like you said, she's valiant, but I think it goes to Dante. Yeah. And I hate to say it because you picked him. But,
you know, what can I say? You know,
at least some of us play fair.
If things had come in a different order, then it could have been anybody's game.
Could have been a very different story. There's super, like, you take some of the other characters that could easily be a match for Dante. You know, like Cloud, Kirby, who could copy his powers. You know, Mewtwo would be tricky.
What is it with you and fucking Kirby?
Kirby is underrated. I think Kirby's secretly evil, and on top of which, he has an amazing power set. In this video I seen, I think they were talking about how he might have destroyed a world or whatever in like this weird fan theory video or whatever. So Kirby's underrated, just because he looks cute, you know. But yeah, and I think if you'd have put Kratos versus Dante as well, but I don't like that character, so I didn't pick him, and neither did any of you guys. So. But yeah, so the winner of the tournament, the first game tournament of game characters that we like and love and think we're tough and whatnot, is Dante from Devil May Cry. And, yeah.
But not from the new Devil May Cry.
But no, not the emo Dante.
We hate that guy.
Yeah, he's a little dweeby douche.
If you picked him, he would have totally lost.
Yeah, because he's a dweeb. He's like some little emo nerd who would have, I don't know, been too busy on Reddit or something, like talking shit.
With hormones and acne.
Yeah, not saying anything against those games, because I think that game's supposed to be quite good. Or people with acne. We welcome all types here. But yeah, I think as the characters, that was such a bad choice. In fact, they agree that it's so much of a bad choice that in the definitive edition they brought out, they gave you the potential to be the original Dante again as like a skin or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm started rambling now. The winner of this event is Dante.
You win. Perfect.